me the story of Jesus. Write on my heart every word.
So there's a story. There's a story told about of a congregation that gets together. As they gather for worship, their preacher gets up. Everyone, of course, expects that. But they noticed in their congregation that there's a new man, a little older, and they weren't used to him. They didn't know who he was. But he was a friend of the preacher. You see, the preacher gets up, starts talking, and says, "Now, I know you all came expecting that I'd give you a lesson, but I have my friend here with me today, and I really like him to share with you some things." And so the old man, he gets up and goes to the front. And as he does, he begins to tell a story about three individuals. He tells a story of a father, the father's son, and that son had a friend. Well, you see, these three go out on a boating trip. It's a nice day. You see the sun shining. The water was nice and calm. Everything was great for a day of being out on the water. But as it turned out, as they were out that day, a storm came. Well, if you've ever been out on a boat, if you've ever seen any movies with that, you know that storms can get out of hand. And that's what happens with this storm. It's not short, it doesn't just end quickly, but yet it continues, and they have to be cautious about that. They're looking on the storm, and it's the wind that's getting the waves to come and crash onto the boat. It's got rain coming down, and so it can be a hectic and scary time. So as the storm is attacking the ship, the father, he's the one there. He's safe and secure. He's pretty sturdy. But remember, there's two boys on this boat. And one of the times that the waves come and crash up against that boat, both boys go overboard. So now as these two boys go overboard, one being his son, the other a friend, the man looks and realizes that he's got a lifeline for one. He only has the opportunity to save one before the other is taken under the water, before it is dragged far away, is out of reach, cannot be saved. So it is the father has a very important decision to make. Who will he spare? Who will he save? Who will he sacrifice? And so the father makes a decision. He calls out to the son and says, "Son, I love you." And he throws out the lifeline to the son's friend. The man tells this story. Everyone's listening intently about the storm, listening intently about the decision the father would make. The man tells the story. And then the man is done and he goes to sit down. Services has ended. And amongst the group there that night, there were two teenage boys. They were listening to that story, and they spoke to the man. And they said, "Well, that was a good story. It grabbed our attention, but it just doesn't seem realistic. It doesn't seem realistic that a father would sacrifice his son." And so the man who spoke, he looked down at his Bible. He said, "Yeah, it is pretty hard to understand that. Pretty hard to see that as realistic, isn't it?" But he goes, "That's exactly what the Bible teaches us. The Bible tells us of the love of a father. The Bible tells us of how he sacrificed his only son for us. And I'm grateful for that." Again, the boys are still in amazement and just, that grabbed our attention, sure, but it's not very real, is it? And so does that man. He assured them, he says, "Well, I know the pain that father, I know the pain that God went through in sacrificing his son, his only son, because you see, that story I told you tonight about the man who lost his son, I'm that father. And you see that preacher of yours there? You see, that's the friend that I saved." You can only imagine what those boys then thought after hearing that. And it took it from just being a story to being reality. And knowing that hard choices were made. But I know that minister there was thankful for the choice that was made. I hope you and I are thankful for the choice that God made, that Jesus made. He's there in the garden. He says, "Let there be any other way. But not my will, but your will be done." You see, he had a love for the Father, and you see, he had a love for us. I'm so thankful that God so loved the world that he gave us his one and only Son, so that if we would believe in him, we would not perish, but have everlasting life. I'm so thankful for the sacrifice of God's Son.
On behalf of the Somerset congregation, we'd like to invite you to come visit with us at the Somerset Church of Christ, located at 314 North Market Street. We have Sunday morning Bible study at 9:45, worship at 10:30. We also have a worship at 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. On midweek at Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we have a midweek Bible study. So we encourage you, certainly invite you. Hopefully you find a warm welcome here at the Somerset Church of Christ, 314 North Market Street.
Tell me the story most precious, sweetest that ever was heard.